Y'all didn't see that. Y'all didn't see that. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I don't see what I'm doing. What's this? Oh, okay. Didn't know I could do that. Now I do. Okay, just chilling, waiting for my peoples to pile in here. That's what we gonna do. We gonna just sit here, chill, and wait for the peoples to pile up in here tonight. Oh, there we go. It's on that BS again. Hold on. Go away. There we go. Thank you. Come again some other day. Please. Yep, I'm just chilling. I don't know if there's anybody in here right now. I might just be talking to myself. Nonetheless, I am here. They will be here soon, I suppose. Let me go ahead and do a couple of edits to this. Oh, we do got a few people in here. We got about 65 people up in here to be exact. Oh, the numbers is climbing. Hallelujah. How y'all doing? How y'all doing, beautiful people? Like I told y'all, Wednesday, there was a possibility that y'all was going to get a Mr. Ballin live stream. And guess what? We're here. We are here. We're going to be here for about 45 minutes too. So go ahead, take your seat, put on your headphones if you please. You know, you might just be listening to this on TV. It's all good. However you do it, you do it. But we here. Give me a second here. I'm doing some customizations to the Chizat right now. I don't know if I can do this beforehand, each chat, but hell, I know I can do it during the chat. Let's see here. There we go. I think that's a bit more feasible. Now we done climbed up to 173 people that quick. Goodness gracious. No, you're not late because we're just getting this party started. Hi, everybody. I see everybody saying hi in the chat. How y'all doing? How is y'all doing? I see you, Dollar Silver. You way down there today. You didn't make it earlier today. Ha ha. Yeah, you like number, what's that? 15 down there? Goodness gracious. You late, Dollar Silver. But anyway, y'all, we got a Mr. Ballin live stream tonight. This one is called The Real Kill Room. Kill Room, that sounds familiar. Y'all know there's a new movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's coming out. It's gonna be on Netflix, I believe. I'm not sure when, but I know it's coming soon. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I love my horror movies, love my scary movies, love all that good stuff. But y'all, while we wait for a few more people to get in here, Friday. Let me zoom in right quick, big baby. Let me zoom in so y'all can see it up close, personal. Friday. These will be available on the website, a limited run. Only 39 available, period. Once they're gone for good. I'm going to be, it got holes right here for you can stick your skateboard trucks in and stuff. You got to poke it out though. I'm going to be numbering them 1 through 39 right here. So y'all know, whichever one you get, you're one of 39 people in the world that has an exclusive AOK Arctic Kid skateboard deck, right? With my big old face plastered in the middle of it. I want to see my boys that know how to do tricks. I want to see y'all grind this face off. But, and I'm going to be autographing them right here, all the boards. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I got a busy day ahead of me tomorrow. Hell, I had a busy day today. Today was a very, very, very busy day. But, with that being said, this weekend I'm not going to be here. This weekend I'm not going to be here. So, Friday, no live stream. No live stream. I'm going to be in town, but I'm going to be busy. But no live stream on Friday. This might be the last live stream of the week. So, I hope you all enjoy. We're here. And we're about to get this party started. Let me go ahead and shrink back down so we can check out this video. Boom. Let's see. Aaron Clark, I see you up in here. Thank you, brother, for the don't know. What up, Christopher? I see you up in here. Big baby. Honey Pineapple, I see you up in here. Y'all, we're about to get this thing rocking and rolling. Y'all ready? Again, this is The Real Kill Room. Mr. Ballin, story time. Let's get it.
I would imagine after you hear the ending to today's story that you will most likely go back and watch this all over again because the ending completely changes the story.
Hey, if what he's saying is true, heck, we might watch the whole video all over again. I doubt it.
But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every week. So if that's of interest to you, please sneak into the Like Button's house and replace all of the lids of their Tupperware.
All right, so if y'all wonder why I got this big old smile on my face, I remember in the early days of Mr. Balling, you guys were begging for me to react to him, and I wouldn't do it because I didn't think it would be anything interesting just sitting here watching this man tell these stories. But that was completely false. This dude's ability to tell stories is so phenomenal, and the stories are so enticing and so good. I enjoy them. I look forward to them. I was looking forward to this all day. I'm very happy to be here right now. Y'all don't understand.
Ever since he was a child, Mark Twitchell had always dreamed of becoming a big-time Hollywood filmmaker. But he knew the odds were stacked against him because he lived in Edmonton, Canada, which was not exactly known for being a movie-making hub. Nonetheless, after high school, he enrolled in an Edmonton art college, and in 2000, graduated, earning his degree in radio and television art. But after college, despite utilizing his training to make several films, none of them generated any buzz beyond his friends and family, and so it seemed like his filmmaking career was turning into a bit of a dud. However, in 2007, Mark had a bit of an unintentional breakthrough. He had been a longtime Star Wars fanatic, and that year...
He looks familiar since the very first time they showed him.
He decided, purely as a passion project, he was going to write a script for a prequel to the Star Wars franchise. When he finished it and shared the script with some of his colleagues, they were so impressed with his writing, they said, "Mark, you need to produce this into a movie. This is incredible." And so Mark, who was totally amazed at this unbelievable feedback he was getting, decided, you know what? What the heck? I will produce this movie.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so I actually have a script too that I had received the same sort of feedback from hundreds of people telling me that I needed to produce that script and put it into the format of a movie. So this is kind of bringing back that feeling right now. But man, I need to do it.
And so he began sending his script out to different actors and actresses to see if they might be interested in playing a role. And amazingly, one of the original Star Wars actors, Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett, he read the script and he was so impressed by it that he agreed to play a role in Mark's film. And so this passion project had quickly turned into Mark's biggest success yet. When the movie was finished, it did well, but it didn't propel Mark into Hollywood stardom. However, it did put him on the map as a bona fide filmmaker, and it showed him that if he just focused on making films about subjects he was already very passionate about, those films would be much more likely to succeed. And so in 2008, so roughly a year after creating the Star Wars fan fiction film, Mark decided to embark on another film project around another passion of his, Dexter. Dexter was a very popular TV show about a fictional serial killer whose name was Dexter. And the way Dexter would kill his victims is he would lure them into these small rooms, which he called kill rooms. And inside of them, basically every surface, the ceiling, the walls, the floor, were all covered in plastic sheeting to catch any of the blood. And then he would kill his victims, usually with a knife. And then afterwards, he would dismember them and bag up their body. And he would roll up all this plastic, kind of collecting all the evidence.
So that's what Dexter was? I had no idea. I had no idea what Dexter was about. Now I have to watch that show because I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. Yo, what was the name of that one show that I watched that was about a dang on serial killer? I think it was called The Following. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but if it was called The Following, if y'all haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. It was an amazing show. It was like about a cult following too. Like this dude was like a fake cult leader and a freaking serial killer at the same time.
And then he would dump the plastic and the body into the ocean. Mark was obsessed with the show, and so it inspired him to make his next movie be about a killer too. Except instead of it being fiction like Dexter, he wanted his movie to be at least based on real events. And it just so happened, at the time he was thinking about doing this movie, there was this uncaught murderer terrorizing Edmonton, and so Mark decided the Edmonton killer would be his star. Mark would spend the next several weeks obsessively researching the Edmonton killer and his victims, and establishing a clear timeline of what had happened with this case, and then after he felt like he had compiled every piece of information he possibly could, he used that research to concoct a 42-page first draft of the script. And as soon as he was done with that first draft, it somehow got leaked. And when it got leaked, the contents of this script were so shocking and so controversial that the script wound up in the hands of the Edmonton police. And when they read the script, they immediately recognized they had a big problem. They reached out to Mark and they told him, under no circumstances can you turn this script into a movie. And then the police basically wiped this script off the face of the earth. Today, if you go looking for Mark's script online, you'll basically only find heavily censored versions of it. But recently, I got my hands on an uncensored version of this 42-page script. Now, I'm not going to literally read you this script. However, what I'm going to do is use the script's information to tell you Mark's highly controversial Edmonton killer story.
Oh, yo, this is about to be crazy to hear this story. Oh my God. All right, I'm not going to lie, you guys. I am someone who is very, very sensitive to hearing certain things when I'm under a certain physical condition. And as of right now, I feel sick. I feel sick to my stomach, almost as if I'm gonna pass out, and I didn't know exactly what it was. I'm like, yo, why do I feel weird? But I don't know. Talking about it is making me feel a whole lot better. I'm feeling a whole lot better. But it's a possibility that this story is gonna mess me up. Let's go.
As you listen, remember this story is based on actual events. And so the victims' names and the information about them is real. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Woo!
In early October 2008, a soft-spoken 26-year-old casino security guard named Giles Tetreault was living alone in Edmonton. Giles's life had recently been turned upside down because a few months earlier, his wife had told him that she just didn't love him anymore and that she was going to leave him. Giles was still very much in love with his wife, and so this was a totally heartbreaking experience for him. After she left, Giles tried to stay busy and keep his mind occupied, but it rarely worked. Oftentimes, he felt crushingly lonely and sad.
Oh my God. I couldn't imagine being so in love with someone and you're thinking everything is fine and just out of the blue one day there's like, I don't love you anymore, and they're gone. I'm like, oh, my heart.
But on Friday, October 3rd, when Giles came home from work that afternoon, he suddenly felt like, you know what, I gotta get my life together, and I'm gonna start by finding myself a new romantic partner. And so he went on a dating site and he made himself a profile, and he began scrolling through all of the women's profiles that lived roughly in his area. And at first, no one really appealed to him, but then he stopped on this one woman's profile. She was this young, blonde, beautiful woman named Sheena, and she lived right in Edmonton. And so Giles thought, what the heck, I'll send her a message. And so he did, just introducing himself and asking to talk further. And she responded just a couple of minutes later. And then over the next couple of hours, the two exchanged dozens of messages, getting to know each other. And then finally, Sheena just says to Giles, hey, you know, we live so close together. Why don't we get together tonight and go grab dinner and watch a movie together? And Giles is thrilled. And he says, yeah, I'll come pick you up. What's your address? And Sheena would tell him, you know what? I don't feel comfortable sharing my address over this dating website. And so instead, she sent Giles this strange customized set of directions that didn't give the actual address of her house. Instead, it basically gave Giles a set of known landmarks in Edmonton that he could follow until he finally arrived at her residence. And she also told him that when he arrived, instead of just coming up to her house, there would be a detached garage and the door would be open, and he would go through the garage, out the door into her backyard, and then he would go up the back steps to the back door of her house, and she would meet him there. Now, Giles did think this was a little bit strange, but at the same time, he's thinking, you know, I am basically a complete stranger to her. We just met today on the internet, and so I really can't blame her for taking some extra safety precautions with me. And so he told Sheena he had no issues using her special directions, and then he said he'd be over soon. And so Giles hopped in the shower, he freshened up, he got dressed, he hopped in his truck, and then he began driving to Sheena's house. After about 15 minutes of following these directions, he reached the end of them, and they placed him in this alleyway in a suburban neighborhood. And where he stopped, he looked off to his right, and he saw there was this 2-car garage, and he knew it was Sheena's garage because one of the doors was open like she said it would be, although the door was not open all the way. It was open enough to where he would have to duck to get into the garage. garage, but either way, he knew it was her garage. And so he turns off his truck and he gets out and he tries to look up at Sheena's house behind the garage to see if maybe he can see her looking out the back door. But the detached garage that was right up against the street was kind of blocking his view. And so he thought, okay, whatever, I'll just go in and make my way up to the back steps. And so he walks over to this 2-car garage and he goes to the open side. He ducks down and he goes underneath and he stands up inside of the garage. Now, it was dark inside of the garage. There was no light on, but there was enough light spilling in from the opening of the garage door that he could see there was really nothing in the garage. However, virtually every surface, the walls, the ceiling, the floor, was covered in plastic sheeting. Now, he had no idea what this plastic
Come on now, bro. You're a big fan of Dexter. The moment I see something like this, I haven't even seen Dexter. Regardless, if I go anywhere and it looks like this, I'm out. I've seen other stuff that looks like this, that those movies didn't turn out too well. I'm gone. No, I'm gone. Yeah, we got almost 600 people up in here. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate the dono too, and I appreciate the support on both channels. I'm gone.
Cheating was for, and he really didn't care. He just kept walking across the garage towards the door that would lead into Sheena's backyard.
He look, that woman is blinding him right now.
And when he reached that door, he reached down to the door handle and he was about to turn it.
And what makes it so bad is someone can pose as the opposite sex on one of these dating apps, lure you in, and then get you.
When he felt a blinding pain in the back of his neck. He whipped around, and even though it was dark inside of this garage, he could clearly see this huge man in a black and gold hockey mask standing right in front of him, holding a stun baton. Giles tries to run past him to try to get out of the garage, but the man grabs him and then takes his stun baton and drives it into Giles' stomach, and he pulls the trigger. Immediately, Giles feels this coursing pain in his torso, and he falls to the ground, and then this man in the mask releases the trigger and
oh my god, like thinking about the fact, and I'm sorry I paused it again, but it just dawned on me, thinking about the fact that a social media app, kind of like these dating apps, would be like the perfect place for these serial killers to target people, men or women. It would be so easy for them to do it, especially if they have charisma and they use whoever attractive picture that they decide they want to use. Is so dangerous. It is so dangerous. There's a new show or something that came out on Netflix. I caught a bit of it this morning. I played about 5 minutes of it because I wanted to finish watching it. It was called The Tinder Swindler or something like that. It looked like a really, really good documentary or whatever the heck it was, but I highly suggest you guys watch it. I'm not done watching it, but the story is really good. And it's the woman that was in the situation herself that's telling the story, and she's showing the actual man that she dealt with. Junk is crazy.
Giles tries to scramble up to his feet to try to run out of the garage, but as soon as Giles turns around, he stops where he is because he sees this huge guy in the mask is standing between him and this open garage door, and he's now holding a gun in his hand and he's aiming it right at Giles. And so Giles freezes. He has no idea what's going on, and this man who's got this mask on barks at Giles to get on the ground and put your face on the ground. And so Giles at this
You gonna have to shoot me because I'm not doing that. Shee! I'm about to charge. No, I'm not doing that because this, you trying to take my life and I'm fighting. Nope, not doing that.
Point is thinking, I'm going to get killed in here. I have nothing I can do. I'm completely defenseless here. And so he just does what he's told. And he lies down on the plastic sheeting and he's totally terrified. And this man walks over and he puts a piece of duct tape over Giles's eyes. And so as he's laying there blind and terrified, Giles becomes very emotional. He suddenly longs for his ex-wife and for his family and his friends.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Oh my God, poor Giles, poor guy. Oh my God, that just made the fact that his wife left him that much worse. Cause all this man wanted to do, he got him, chippered himself up. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of moping around being sad and lonely. Let me put myself back out there. As much as I love my wife, she's moved on. Let me put myself back out there. Only for this to happen? Screw her. Screw her. I get it. You fell out of love with him, but dang. You should have found him another suitable partner. You should have stuck around long enough to help him find another woman before you left. Because look what you done did to this man. You done put him in the worst predicament possible because you left him.
Wishes he could see them just one more time, and he knows he's not going to. Then, as he's laying there, he's coming to the stark realization that he didn't tell anyone where he was going. And so
that's important. We can't pass up on that. That's very, very important. I had to learn that myself because me being the loner that I am, I just don't tell people any dang thing. So I had to get out of my head and start letting folks know where I was going, who they can contact, you know, if I'm gonna be somewhere, what times I'm gonna be there, how long I'm gonna be there, the address, all that stuff. I'll send it to about 2 or 3 close people. I got 3 people that I'll send that type of information to when I go out of town, when I go out of the country, or whatever the case may be. I let folks know, hey, I'm about to go do this thing. I need somebody to know where I'm at.
If this masked maniac...
Females do it. Fellas, we have to be doing it too.
As he's laying there, he's coming to the stark realization that he didn't tell anyone where he was going. And so if this masked maniac does kill him, who's going to find his body? Will his family and friends ever know what happened to him? So as he's laying there thinking of these horrible thoughts, he hears his attacker, who's several feet behind him, start fiddling with what sounds like chains or handcuffs. And Giles thinks to himself, if I get chained up in here, I really am done. Yeah. And so he has this sudden surge of adrenaline where he thinks to himself, I'm going to get killed in here. I know it. I'm going to get killed. But if I'm going to die, I'm going to die on my terms. And so Giles takes a deep breath and then jumps to his feet, rips the tape off of his eyes. He turns around and he faces his attacker and he says, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go out this way. And the attacker is totally surprised, but he just begins to raise his gun at Giles to shoot him. And Giles lunges forward and he grabs the barrel of the gun and he pushes it away from him. And as soon as he does that, Giles realizes something. The gun is made of plastic. It's fake. And so Giles is suddenly so confident, he grabs the arms of his attacker and he tries to kick the guy in the legs, but the attacker is so much bigger and stronger than Giles that he just headbutts Giles. Giles goes flying to the ground and his attacker jumps on top of him and begins punching him and slamming his skull into the ground. But Giles is so high on adrenaline, he can't feel any of the blows. All he's trying to do this whole time as he's getting pummeled is just find a way to stand up and run out of this garage. Just get out, escape. And amazingly, against all odds, he does manage in between blows to wriggle his way out of the attacker's grasp. But as he begins to run towards that opening in the garage door, the attacker grabs him by the jacket. And so Giles twists himself and he actually comes out of the jacket. And then he throws himself onto the ground and he rolls out of the garage. And as soon as he is free, he suddenly can't stand up. The stun baton, he didn't feel it before, but it had sapped all of his strength. But the adrenaline had kind of overridden that feeling. But here he is out.
Adrenaline is an amazing thing. It is an amazing thing. When it works for you, it works for you. But when it's out, shit's out. It's gone. And now he's feeling the effects of everything that was happening to him. From the freaking stun to being pummeled to the ground. At least he was able to get out. But dang, adrenaline kick in some more so he can get away, further away. He's just on the opposite side of the door. The dude can come
outside and he suddenly can't stand up. And so he's trying to stand up. And then the attacker, who's still inside, dives down, reaches out from underneath the garage and grabs Giles by the ankle and begins trying to pull him back into the garage. And so Giles is kicking and screaming and punching and he finally breaks free. And then he has another surge of adrenaline and he stands up and just begins running down the alleyway. Doesn't even go to his car. He just starts running towards hopefully civilization. And he makes it exit a couple of houses before he collapses to the ground in this very busy walking trail. And so he's landed right in this intersection where he's hoping someone's going to be. He turns back and looks down the alleyway, and he sees his attacker, who's now on the road. He's got the mask still on his face, and he's charging up the road. Giles can't even get up. He's so tired, but Giles looks to his side and he sees there's this random couple walking down the walking path. They see Giles on the ground who's calling out for help, and they run over to him and they get right in front of Giles, and Giles immediately points at the attacker coming down the alleyway and says, "He's trying to kill me." And the attacker amazingly just jogs right up to Giles, right up to the couple. He does not take his mask off, and he acts like he's friends with Giles and says, "Oh, come on, Frank, you're making a big deal out of it. It's a game."
What? The nerve of this attacker to act like, "Oh no, it's just a game. What are you doing? You're making a big old deal." What? Instead of trying to run and hide, the attacker is like, "Oh no, you just play along. We're just having fun." What?
"Come back to the garage, I'll meet you there." And then the attacker just turns around and walks back down the alleyway back towards his garage. And so Giles turns and looks up at the couple, who are totally freaked out by this whole situation. They don't know if this is some weird setup that they're going to get robbed or something. They don't know if this is a hoax. And so they say, "Hey, you're on your own, pal." And they turn and they leave.
Oh my God. That's ow! Ow! What is that pain? God. Felt like something was attacking my ankle for a second. Yo, that is so messed up, man. That's one of the fears that a person will have when they're out in public and something crazy is happening and no one is there to help. Or they're around, but they're not willing to help.
So Giles is left in the middle of this intersection. The only people that could have helped him are now gone. And so he rolls over and just looks down the alleyway in the direction of the garage. And he can actually see his attacker pacing back and forth inside of the garage because that door is partially open. And so Giles doesn't know what to do. He has to get to his truck to get out of here. And so he just sits there for a couple of seconds, just watching the attacker, making sure he's staying inside of the garage. And then finally, he just took a deep breath. He pulled himself up and he stumbled down the alleyway. He got in his truck, fired it up, and he peeled out of there. When Giles got home, he was obviously traumatized from this horrible thing that had just happened to him, but he also felt embarrassed and kind of ashamed that he had clearly just gotten catfished by the psycho in the garage. Obviously, Sheena, the woman he supposedly was talking to, was not real. It was that guy in the garage that had attacked him, but he didn't really...
That's why you're supposed to meet in public places. Meet in a very, very, very public place. Like a coffee shop. Or a bar. Ay, 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 ay. Man, he's lucky. He's so lucky, but the story changes.
Understand why it had happened. He had no idea why anyone would target him, and so the whole situation was just such a mess.
He's trying to take it personal, or he's thinking it's coming from a personal place. No, you're just a rando, probably, as far as I know.
Why anyone would target him, and so the whole situation was just such a mess. He decided, you know what, I'm not going to tell anyone. He didn't report it to the police. He didn't tell his friends. He didn't tell his family. He just decided,
out of shame for being catfished, this dude is like, "I'm not telling nobody what happened." Heck, how dumb are you, bro? Oh my God. That is so selfish, man. That is so selfish, because you can be saving other people's lives by letting the cops know what happened. Letting them know where you were. Like, immediately. You need to be doing that right now so they can be on that dude's tail. You selfish goo.
He was going to move on and forget about it. A week later, on October 8th, another Edmonton man, 38-year-old Johnny Altinger, was perusing the dating website that Giles had been using. Johnny made a living doing quality control for an oil and gas company, but he hated that job.
Hey, at this point, hearing these stories makes me happy that of the 10 years that I've been on the dating app, I haven't had any luck. I barely get a match. I've been on one date and it went nowhere. So, as much as it sucks, hey, I'd rather have that than this.
He much preferred to spend his time tinkering with his computers or his prized motorcycle. Johnny had lots of very close friends, but romance was always something that had eluded him. So that afternoon, Johnny, like Giles, was
I feel your pain, brother.
on this dating website to potentially find a romantic partner.
Worst place to look. Don't do it.
And so as he was scrolling through all of these different women's profiles that lived roughly in his area, he wasn't interested in any of them until he stopped on this one profile of this beautiful young blonde woman named Jen, who lived right in Edmonton. And so Johnny was interested. He sent her a message, and very quickly she wrote back, and before long the two are chumming it up, and then eventually they actually agree to get together that night for dinner and a movie. But when Johnny asked Jen for her address, she would tell him that she's a paranoid person and she doesn't want to give him her actual address over this website, and so instead she gave him a set of very strange directions that relied on local landmarks in Edmonton to guide him into her residence. And she would tell Johnny, when you get here, go through the garage, the door will be open, go out the back door, go into the backyard, make your way up to the back of the house, and I will meet you at the back door. And so Johnny definitely thought these directions were very strange, but he was really eager to meet up with Jen, and so he really didn't care. And so
And that's the other thing too, is like when a serial killer or a mass murderer knows the power that women can have over men and use that same sort of power to further their agenda. Whoo, evil. That's some evil mess right there. That is some evil mess.
he told Jen it was no big deal. He'd happily follow her directions. And then he hopped in the shower and he got himself together. And then before he left to go to Jen's house, he forwarded Jen's email that included her very strange directions. He sent those directions to one of his very close friends. And he kind of jokingly included a message that was like, hey, if I go missing tonight, this is where I'm going. And then Johnny hopped in his car and he left. The directions brought Johnny to the same garage in the same alleyway that Giles had been to a week earlier. And when Johnny came to a stop in front of Jen's two-car garage with one of the doors partially open, he saw there were lights still on inside of the garage, and he saw someone walking around inside. And so Johnny looked at his watch and he realized...
Pause right quick, because this has me thinking about something. Like, this happened a week later prior to the previous incident. What if this is just another story that we know? What if there was another case that occurred between those two time frames?
He was maybe 15 or 20 minutes too early, and so he parks his car and he's thinking, okay, Jen might be inside of this garage and I'm early, but maybe I'll just walk over and say hi to her. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. And
what? I gotta rewind that. I want to take that in a little bit. But what's so unfortunate is that this is too easy for a serial killer to do because of the access at posing as a female on these dating apps will give you to men. Women get matches like crazy. Men, unless they're highly attractive, it's very seldom that they're getting a bunch of matches. So if you have a decent enough, a feasible enough, attractive woman, he can be doing this junk to men every day. He can have a crazy collection of bodies in his basement.
There were lights still on inside of the garage, and he saw someone walking around inside. And so Johnny looked at his watch and he realized he was maybe 15 or 20 minutes too early. And so he parks his car and he's thinking, okay, Jen might be inside of this garage and I'm early, but maybe I'll just walk over and say hi to her. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. And so Johnny turns off his car, he gets out and he starts walking over to this half open garage door. And as he gets closer and closer, the lights in the garage go off. And so Johnny stops and he's thinking, why are the lights off? Did she hear me? Does she not want me to come in? What's going on? But he's thinking, okay, well, I should definitely go over and say something. And so he walks over to this open garage door and he bends down and he looks inside and it's totally dark. And he just says, hello? And there's a pause and then the lights come on and Johnny suddenly sees this garage that's basically devoid of anything minus a table off to the side. And every surface is covered in plastic sheeting. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, everything. And in the back of the garage is not Jen. Instead, it's this man he doesn't recognize. And so Johnny's looking at this man and this man is looking over at Johnny. And finally, the man speaks and says, Hi, I'm Harry. I'm a designer. I rent this garage out from Jen. And I just talked to Jen, and you're meeting up with her tonight, right? You're meeting up with Jen, yeah. She's running late, so I think she'll be back in about maybe 20 minutes. So can you come back in 20 minutes? Come right back here. Come to the garage, and I'll bring you up to the house because I know you're meeting her up at the house. So 20 minutes.
Oh, what? He's over here like, yo, I need this man to show up at the exact same time I told him to. He came 20 minutes early. I'm not prepared. I'm not ready for him. I need him to come a little bit later. Let me go ahead and throw him off. This is crazy.
And so Johnny doesn't really know what to make of this. He figures, okay, I don't really know what Jen's arrangement is with this designer in this plastic-covered garage, but, whatever. And so Johnny says, okay, no problem. I'll come back in 20 minutes. And so Johnny turns around and he walks back to his car and he leaves and drives around for about 20 minutes. And then he comes back to the garage. And as soon as he parks, he notices right away the light in the garage is now off. So presumably Harry has actually left. And so he will not be available to walk Johnny up to the house to meet Jen. But Johnny was thinking, I don't really want to interact with Harry. He seems like a strange guy anyways. And so he counts this as a win. And so Johnny parks his car, he hops out, he walks over to the garage, he bends down and goes inside of the garage. He stands up and he walks across the plastic-lined floor to the door that's going to lead out into Jen's backyard. But before he reaches that door, something smashes into the back of his head. And immediately Johnny is horribly dazed and he instinctively throws his hands up to protect his head. And he begins spinning around trying to figure out who or what had just hit him. And as soon as he turns around, he sees in the shadows is the figure of none other than the man he saw before, Harry. And Harry is holding a big metal pipe.
Yo, this man was like, nope, I gotta get him right now. Even though I told him to come back later so I can attack him again. Nope. In case he changed his mind and he's a little sketched out by this situation, let me go ahead and attack him now, because, hell, here we are. God, this dude is crazy. What is his issue? What possessed a person to want to cause harm to another individual? I can't wrap my brain around it. It's messed up. Amanda, we got a new channel member here. Thank you, big baby.
And immediately when Johnny sees him, he begins screaming, police, police, police. And Harry just winds up and wails on John.
What you screaming police for? That's not how it works. And to call police 911, you have to pick up a phone. You just can't. Police. They're not gonna hear that.
With this metal pipe, and Johnny's trying to turn around and get away from Harry, but Harry just keeps moving around him and beating him with this pipe until finally Johnny collapses on the ground, but he's not unconscious. And so Johnny is kind of shielding his head and he's looking up at Harry, who's now just standing over him. He's ceased his initial barrage, and Johnny begins pleading with Harry, I'll give you money, I'll give you anything, just please let me go.
That fool don't care about no money. He's a freaking serial killer. He'll kill a rich person and don't want to die.
And so Harry smiles and he says, you promise you won't tell anyone if I let you go?
Oh, he's playing games with him now. Come on. Okay, stop playing with this man. You know darn well you're not gonna let him go.
Before Johnny could answer this, Harry winds up with his pipe and he brings it crashing down on Johnny's face. But amazingly, this does not knock Johnny unconscious. Instead, Johnny grabs the pipe after it hits him in the head and he holds on to it to prevent Harry from hitting him again. And so at this point, Harry is frustrated that Johnny is still putting up this huge fight. And so with one hand holding onto this pipe that Johnny has the other end of, Harry reaches down with his other hand and he unsheaths a hunting knife. And he holds the blade right in front of Johnny's face. And as soon as Johnny sees this knife, his eyes go wide and he lets go of the pipe and he begins to plead for his life. But Harry just smiles and continues to show him the blade. And then at some point he grabs Johnny's shoulder, he pulls the knife back and he plunges it into Johnny's stomach. Johnny howls out in pain and he curls over and he begins screaming for the police, screaming for someone to help him. And then finally Harry pulls the knife out of his stomach and then plunges it into the side of Johnny's neck. And then Harry lets go of the knife and he stands up and he just watches Johnny as he bleeds out onto the plastic lining. As Harry walks,
I bet you he also did not tell nobody where he was going or when he was going to be there. or what time, and I bet he didn't.
Watched Johnny die, he had this pang of regret. He thought to himself, why didn't I play more mind games with him before I killed him? I'll do that with the next one.
You see? Didn't I say he was playing with him? Oh my God. Instead of regretting killing him, he regret that he didn't play more mind games with him first. This dude is sick. There is actual evil in him. My God. What's wrong with people, man? I can't fathom it. It's real, but it ain't real.
After Johnny died, Harry would dismember and bag up Johnny's body, and then he would roll up all of the plastic from the walls and the ceiling. He'd gather that all up, and then a couple of days later, he would dump both Johnny's body parts and all of the plastic containing all of the evidence down a nearby sewer drain. At this point in the story, Mark's script just kind of comes to an abrupt end. We don't know what Harry did after getting rid of Johnny's body and the evidence because Mark just didn't write it. It was like he didn't finish the script. And there's a reason for that, and it's the same reason the police stepped in and stopped Mark from making this script into a movie. At the time they read his script, the police had already figured out who owned the garage where Giles and Johnny were attacked. Johnny's friend, the one who Johnny had forwarded Jen's email that had those strange directions, well, that friend gave those directions to the police once Johnny had been reported missing. And so the police followed these strange directions to this garage, and they discovered it was not owned by some young, beautiful blonde named Jen or Sheena. It was not owned by some designer named Harry. It was owned by a young, up-and-coming filmmaker named Mark Twitchell. But to this point, Mark had been extremely cooperative with police and allowed them to search it, and they found nothing. And he explained to them he was not remotely the only person with access to this garage, not by a long shot. But when police searched Mark's laptop, they found a hidden document, and this document was his 42-page script. And when they read it, they saw there was a huge issue. Giles, the first victim of the Edmonton killer, had eventually gotten over his embarrassment and shame, and he went to the Edmonton police and he told them in detail what happened to him inside of that garage. But
wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. I'm so confused. Here's this guy that was an amazing scriptwriter that wanted to be a Hollywood filmmaker. Started with a indie film, like a Star Wars indie film. Then he went on to being inspired by Dexter and wanted to make a movie about a serial killer. Goes on to write a script, and this script detailed something that was real, something that was true about an actual serial killer who he studied and did research on, only for the cops to discover that this serial killer operated in a freaking shed or shack or whatever that was owned by the dude that was writing the script. Like, what? Huh? I wasn't expecting that. How?
But Giles was so scared he had not told anybody else what had happened. The only people who knew were himself and the Edmonton police. Yet somehow, in Mark's script, the account of what happened to Giles was exactly correct. Every little detail of what happened to Giles was encompassed inside of the script. And the reason Mark had...
I knew that's what the issue with the script was. I knew the details of that script was so perfect that they didn't want that movie or film to be released. I knew that's what it was from the beginning. But it still doesn't explain how this filmmaker has that sort of detail. Unless he's the killer himself, which will baffle me completely, because why? Why put yourself in a position to have to go to prison when you're trying to be this big filmmaker?
This information is because Mark was in the garage when Giles got attacked.
What?
Because Mark was the Edmonton killer. Mark had been so desperate to make his killer in his new movie as good as Dexter in the TV show that Mark decided he needed to literally become Dexter in real life.
Oh, you freaking idiot! I gotta send this to my friends that are fan of Dexter now. This dude actually was so inspired by Dexter. You know what's crazy? This is crazy. This is what's crazy. There's actors, I can't remember, there's a term for it. Method acting, I think it's called, where the actor will embody the character or the role that they're playing. If they're playing the life of someone, you know, who did something, someone famous or a serial killer or whatever it may be, they will embody that character, that role, and they will almost live that life. You can see documentaries of Jim Carrey doing it to the extreme, to the max. There's many of actors that have done it, but I've never heard of a director or a filmmaker doing it as well. I've only ever heard of actors doing it. I never heard of a director or a filmmaker doing it. And this dude did it to the point where he was like, yo, if I'm gonna make this movie as good as Dexter, I need to become Dexter. And what? This is crazy.
He needed to know exactly what it felt like to lure an unsuspecting victim into a kill room and murder them so that he'd be able to more accurately write about it in his script. He believed this would put his movie over the top. It would be the most authentic killer movie ever, and it would be his ticket to Hollywood. And so after Mark used a fake dating profile to trap and then attack Giles, after that experience, he wrote about it.
I'm so confused. I'm like, what in his mind made him think that he was going to be able to get away with this? Like, did he really think he was going to be able to just sit here, kill off a bunch of people, and then make a movie about it and just go on with his life casually as if he never killed all those people? Dude, what? Hit that like button for your boy. Can we get 500 likes?
And that became his script. And then when he did the same thing to Johnny and then actually successfully killed and disposed of him, he sat down and wrote about that experience too and tacked it onto the end of the Giles attack. He was literally living his movie and writing the script in real time. The title that Mark gave his script.
And he's a dummy. He is such a dummy, bro. Because the details... I would have pointed the fingers at you too. I'm like, bro, I don't care how much research you did on this killer. You got details that is just beyond what the police got. You did it. You did it. Either you did it or you're super close friends with the fool that did it. But I'm still going to say you did it because the details is crazy. Dude, you don't put that degree of... Look, I'm not trying to put that in nobody's mind, but you don't put that degree of detail in there, especially if you're the one doing the mess.
Was SK Confessions, which stood for Serial Killer Confessions.
Huh?
And that's exactly what the script was. It was a real confession. And
that was the name of the script? Serial Killer Confessions? You dummy. You over here thinking that you being this filmmaker was enough disguise that you can name something Serial Killer Confessions and they won't point the finger at you? Wrong.
based on the way his script just kind of abruptly ends without any sort of conclusion, it seems fairly obvious that Mark was planning to kill more people and then incorporate those experiences into this script.
Duh.
Ultimately, though, the script that was found by police was used to convict Mark of murder, and he is currently serving life in prison. So that's going to do it.
Yo. Hey, Mr. Baller was right. I do want to listen to this story again because now I'm going to hear it differently. The filmmaker was the killer. Oh, my God. What? Stuff happens in this world that you would never guess. I would have never guessed that something like this happened. This is I gotta send this to all my Dexter friends. I can't wait. I can't wait. But y'all, we made it to the end of the live stream. Thank y'all for hanging out. This might be the only live stream this week because I'm gonna be busy this weekend. But y'all, this Friday, 39 of these will be available. Limited edition, artiekicks.com. I'm going to number them 1 through 39 and autograph them right down here for you guys. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Man, Amanda, put it under. I'm glad somebody said it. Because I thought about it from the beginning. But I thought about it just thinking that it was just some rando serial killer dude. Not the filmmaker. Put him under the jail like Amanda said. Put him under the jail. They put him in jail. No, he needs to be under it. But y'all know what time it is, man. Y'all like this live stream. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more. As always, the link to the original will be down in the description box below. If you haven't already, make sure you follow your boy on the gram and Twitter at ArtieCakes. I'm going to go feel better. I'm not feeling so great right now. Till the next one. See ya. Put that man 6 feet under the jail. Mafia.